Hi everyone, today we're looking at fractions again, and more specifically we're looking at how to order fraction from largest to smallest using equivalent fractions or diagrams. Now this is a grade G topic, okay? Don't worry if it's a low grade topic, but you need to know how to do that anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of examples. So for our first example, what I want to do is compare 2/3 and 3/4, and I want to check which one is bigger and which one is smaller. So you can do it in two ways. The first one is by using a diagram. Now when you're using a diagram, you have to make sure you use the same shapes. Okay, so in this case we have two squares, and I'm gonna look at the 2/3 first, and I'm gonna split up my first square into 3 equal parts. Okay, because here I want 2/3, and the 3 tells you in how many parts you need to divide up the square. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and so if I split it up into 3 parts, 3 equal parts, it looks something like that. And if you look at the question itself, it says that I need 2/3, so I need 2 parts out of the 3. So I can go ahead and highlight this part here and that part there. Okay, so this is how much we have. Alright, now I'm going to take a look at the second shape, and I'm going to split up into 4 parts now. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So 4 parts, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 there. And again, I'm going to highlight how much I need of that square. So in this case I need 3 parts, so let's go ahead and highlight 3 parts, so all of that. And what you should see now is that the 3/4, so this one here, so the 3/4 is that one, and the 2/3 is this one here. You should see that the 3/4 is a lot bigger than the 2/3. So I can go ahead and write 3/4 is larger than 2/3. Yeah. You can also use another notation to write larger, and you can write it like that. So you write 3/4 larger. You can use this symbol here, which means larger than 2/3. So this symbol here means larger. Now let's take a look at how we can do the same thing, but instead of using a diagram, we're going to use equivalent fraction. Okay, so let me take another color. So using equivalent fractions, so how do we do this? Well, let me show you quickly. We know for a fact 2/3 and 3/4 can be written using the same denominator. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the 3 and the 4, so take a look at the 3 here and the 4, we know for a fact they both go into the same number, which is 12. Okay, so that's called the highest common multiple. You don't really need to know what it means now, okay? So don't worry about what I meant by highest common multiple, but 3 and 4 will both go into 12. So what I'm going to do is try to make them into equivalent fractions. So the 2/3, so 2/3 can be written as something out of 12, because we know 3 goes into 12, and it goes into 12 4 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top number by 4 as well. And if I do 2 times 4, it gives me 8. And I'm going to do the same thing for 3 over 4 as well. So I've got 3 over 4, and I want to make it as out of 12. And if you look here, 4 times 3 is equal to 12, so therefore I'm going to multiply the top number by 3, so that gives me 9. Now let me explain to you why I did that in the first place anyway. If you look at the two fractions that I have now, let's use a different color. So the 8 over 12 and the 9 over 12, you can see that they both have the same denominator, or the bottom number. So now all I need to do is check the top number and check and see which one is the largest one. And in our case, it's the 9 over 12, which is larger. So we can say 3/4 is larger than 2/3, just like we've done it with the diagram. But here we've used equivalent fraction. Alright, so the main point you need to remember is, if you're using equivalent fraction, you have to make sure the bottom numbers are the same before you compare the top numbers. Let's do another example very quickly. So let's say I had 1/4 and shall we say 5 over 6. Again, I'm going to try to use equivalent fraction, and the first question that I need to ask myself is, what goes into 4 and 6? What's the highest common multiple for 4 and 6? And we know for a fact it's going to be 24. If you find it hard to figure out that number, one trick you could do is just multiply the two bottom numbers together. So you could do 4 times 6 and that gives you 24. That's just a quick trick. So just like we've done it before, I'm going to write 1/4 as something out of 24, because that's the number that we found here. And I'm going to ask myself, 4 times what is equal to 24? And we know for a fact it's 6. So I'm going to multiply the top one by 6, and 1 times 6 is equal to 6. And for our second fraction, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 5 over 6 is equal to something over 24. And we know for a fact 6 times 4 is equal to 24. So I'm going to multiply the top one by 4 as well. And 5 times 4 is equal to 20. So now we're in a situation where we have our two fractions with the same denominator. So I have 6 over 24 and 20 over 24, and we can easily check that 20 over 24 is larger than 6 over 24 because the top number is bigger than that one there. So I can say that 5 over 6 is larger than 1 over 4. And if you want to use the other notation, you can say 5 over 6 is larger than 1/4. Alright, one more example when you're trying to compare three different fractions, sorry. So let's say you had something like 3/4, you had 4/5, and you had a half. So which one is larger, which one is the smallest, etc. So let's try to see which is the highest common multiple for 4, 5 and 2. And we know for a fact the highest common multiple for 4, 5 and 2 is going to be 20. Yeah, so you have to be very good with your times table. Alright, so again, I'm going to find the equivalent fractions, and I know for a fact 4 times 5 is equal to 20. So I'm going to multiply the top number by 5. So 3 times 5 gives me 15. For fraction number 2, I've got 4 4/5, and I want to turn that into 20, so I need to times that by 4. So I'm going to multiply the top number by 4 as well. 4 times 4 gives me 16, and for the third one I've got a half, and I'm gonna change that into 20, so I need to multiply this by 10, and 2 times 10 is equal to 20, so I'm gonna multiply the top number by 10, and 1 times 10 gives you 10. And finally, I can just compare the fractions by using the top number. So here I can see that the largest one is 16/20, or in other words 4/5. So that's the first one. Then the next one is going to be the 15/20, or in other words 3/4. And the last one is going to be the 10/20. Okay, I hope that was useful. Let me give you a couple of questions that you guys can try out. So question number 1, can you tell me which one is larger, 3/4 or 3/5? Question 2, can you tell me which one is larger, 2/3 or 1/8? Question number 3, can you tell me which one is larger, 4/5, 5/6, or 7/15? Now, you can use the diagram methods, or you can use the equivalent fraction method to figure out the answers. If you find the answers, just write them down in the comment box below, and I'll check them for you. Okay? Alright then, so that was another video tutorial from gcsemathsguide.com. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to share it with your friends. Alright then, I'll see you soon. Bye.